Hello and welcome to Tuesday Night Live here in the Honing Block with me, EJWAY. We're here with EJWAY Education, where we want to provide personal development for entrepreneurs and career changes. We're here to give you value. We're here to help you take action. No matter what you feel that you lack knowledge in, what you feel you know, what you don't know, there are no silly questions here. We are here to help. Now, I have a question for you. What is the first thing you think of when you think about money? Okay, is it something that makes you shudder? Is it something that makes you feel, yes, I wish I had more of it? Do you feel that you have good spending habits? Do you feel that maybe you don't have such good spending habits? How are you when it comes to money and business? Do you kind of merge personal finances with business finances? Well, tonight we have none other than the one and only Mr. Emmanuel Asuquo, who is a financial advisor. If you have watched Save Well, Spend Better on Channel 4, you would have seen him giving financial advice to people. He is coming here today to help us to sort out our finances, sort out our spending habits. So we're gonna, if you don't know Emmanuel, you need to get to know Emmanuel. This guy gives absolute value, and we're very lucky to have him tonight. But if you haven't seen him before, have a look at this clip and you'll get to understand a bit about what we're going to get into tonight.
I think most people, it's like what was just said in regards to their mindset. They're coming from a culture of not having. They're coming from a culture of maybe also not knowing how to make money, other than making money at work, what to then do with it once they've made it. And then they're also coming from a culture of consumerism, where we're very much targeted to be buyers and to be at the bottom end, buying as opposed to being owners and acquiring stuff.
Hello, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, sir. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well. I keep saying this lockdown in the house with the 3 children. I'm not complaining about the wife, but with the 3 children, it's not been easy. It's been a noisy day today.
Yeah,
from when they woke up.
I know that, man. I've got the same, man. I've got 4, and
you got 4 children.
Yeah,
my hat. I need to put my hat on so I can take it off to you because you got 4.
The youngest one is 1 as well. Just started walking, so she's going everywhere, pulling everything out of every drawer. Oh my goodness!
Wow. Okay. I'm not complaining anymore. That's it. I'm not complaining. I'm absolutely fine. I had a fantastic day. Everything was perfect.
Oh yeah, it's still relative, isn't it? I'm sure someone's got 10 kids, and I'm like, yeah, I take my hat off to you.
Yeah. No, there is a guy that I know. He plays the guitar. He keeps having children every year. I don't know how many. No, really. I don't know how many children he has now, but he's definitely got. I think the entire family together could easily like start for Arsenal or something.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. It feels watching this thing. Yeah, he knows who he is. He has lots of children. There's family photos where you have to stand back. Yeah.
I know that.
I'm not complaining anymore. But Emmanuel, it's definitely nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
You are a professional financial advisor. I want you to just briefly, before we get into the warm-up round, because we've got some warm-up questions tonight. If you're watching, you watched before. We've never done this before. So I'm going to do some quick-fire questions to Emmanuel. He's not even going to have time to think about the answer. He's just going to tell us the first thing that comes into his head. But just before we get into that, Emmanuel, tell us a bit about yourself, how you came to be a financial advisor.
Yeah, so like I said, my name is Emmanuel Asuquo. I'm a financial advisor. Have been for coming up to 13 years now. I started off in the banks at age 22, really young as a financial advisor in Barclays and so forth, and then moved on to become an independent financial advisor. But about 3 years ago, I said to myself, you know what? I'm tired of just working with rich people and helping rich people get richer. I really wanted to come on and help people who are from a similar background to where I came from. So I grew up in Tower Hamlets in East London and on the council estate. And I wanted to see more people from that type of background buying houses and investing in the market and understanding that it's not just for the rich, which is not a thing that most financial advisors want to do, but it was something that was really important to me. I started it 3 years ago and the platform's really grown. And as you saw, I've gone on to then go on TV and do shows and all of this type of stuff. And, you know, I'm really starting to be seen as an expert in my industry, which I'm very grateful for.
Excellent. And we're grateful to you for your gratitude in doing what you do, because it's not often, quite often, people, when they're doing well, it's just the money. They just continue to chase the money. You had high-end clients, and to stop in your tracks and think, no, let me help people. I'd sincerely appreciate that. I think it's really good.
Thank you so much, man. It wasn't easy. A lot of people called me crazy, but look, here we are now. So sometimes, you know, you gotta go against the grain and follow your heart, not the money. Money will always come. I always believe that. Like, if you do a good job, money will always come. But are you enjoying that money? And I've seen it with clients that I've had that make money but don't really enjoy what they're doing.
That's it. That's very true. Money always comes. So I'm waiting for it to come to me. Okay, let's get into the quick fire round. So just as an example, let's see how quick you are with this. I'm just going to simply say cats or dogs.
Cats.
Okay, good. That was quick enough. You were wondering though.
What was going on here?
Yeah. So that's the style of questions here. This just, we want to get to know you a bit and just find out a bit more. So it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun. So, okay.
Let's do
so there's going to be 10 altogether. Here's number one. Football or cricket?
Football.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek.
Red or yellow?
Red.
Car or motorbike?
Car.
Ronaldo or Messi?
Messi.
Plane or boat?
Plane.
Sweets or chocolate?
Sweets.
Takeaway or home cooked meal?
Home cooked.
Guitar or piano?
Piano.
Stay at home or go out?
Stay at home.
Aha! And that was a test. That last one was a test, you see.
Oh, yeah. I'm feeling like this whole thing lockdown, I'm a homebody anyway. Like, I mean, I grew up, we weren't even allowed out when I was kids. So like 6 weeks holiday, unless you followed mom to the supermarket, you were in the house anyway. You was on the balcony playing football. You know what I mean? So, you know, being locked at home is like, this is normal for me. So I'm all right. I'm all right.
All right, that's good. I don't know what we've learned from that. I don't know what we've learned from those questions at all. It's good. It's good. It's good. Interesting. You said Messi. No hesitation.
No hesitation.
No hesitation. Right. That's good. That's good. Decisive man. You know what you want. You choose it. That's good. Exactly. That's good. Okay, so I want to get into. I've titled tonight's show "Spending Habits," and I think when it comes to money, we know that it is very sensitive. It's a sensitive area. And you talk to people, you give advice to people quite often about money. And I did watch some of the episodes of Save Well, Spend Better.
Yes.
There's some sticky situations that you can get into there. Yeah. How did you find that whole experience, by the way?
You know, I loved it. You know, TV is different. It's different. Obviously, being on Instagram, you're in control. You can redo. You're in control. When you're happy, you're happy. But TV, you've got producers, execs. So you know, you might think it's a great take. They'll be like, "Do it again, say it again, do this," and you know, it's very clunky. When you look at the finished article, it's very smooth. But the actual recording, we're saying the same thing over and over and over again to make sure they take from different, so they can get it from different angles and all of that stuff. But it was great meeting people. It was great putting it out there, and it was good to represent, you know, the community as a financial expert. I just felt like, you know, we don't often see black people on TV in an expert position. It's much more in a comedy or in sport, and that's not a problem. But it's great that now we can be also seen as experts.
That's right. I think it's about that balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
And just having certain positions that people who aren't sporty or who aren't into music can actually aspire to.
Exactly. Right? Exactly.
That's very interesting. Now, I did enjoy the show. You did well. You did well.
Thank you. It was nerve-wracking. Obviously, I was with some professionals in that, like Bianca Miller, who's done it before, and some
that's right.
Yeah, and Anna. But yeah, no, it was really good. It was really good.
Excellent. Well, let's get into our first question. So, in terms of your experience as a financial advisor, what are some of the, can I say, worst spending habits that you've come across that people have? What are like the really bad ones?
Don't know about really bad, because I think everything in moderation, isn't it? I think the worst part, or when it really gets bad, is in regards to how much we spend on what item. So, like for example, a lot of people when I go through budgets, a lot of our money is going on food. A lot of it's going on. So you're buying, weekly shopping, then you're buying coffee or whatever in the morning, breakfast in the morning, then you're still buying lunch at work, and then you're coming in the evening, you're ordering a takeout, then it's going to brunch became a thing as well. So I see a lot of spending on food and so forth. Also, in regards to how much you spend on holidays has become a real big thing for us that, we got to be on holiday. And we can't just go anywhere. We've got to go to these luxury places and spend loads of money, and we're spending much more than what we earn. And that can be a problem. And then clothes, restaurants, with this Hakkasan, some people are spending, 50% of their monthly salary in a restaurant. It doesn't make sense just for Instagram likes and pictures. So these are the things where we've got to really understand what we're doing and who we're trying to impress.
Right. That definitely makes a lot of sense. So I guess as I'm listening to you give those examples, I can relate to some of those now in different ways. Now, there's a lot of, it's quite deep actually, because especially in terms of relationships, you can have in one relationship, one person that's very frugal and wants to spend, but another person who puts a lot of pressure to spend a lot of money. I'm not suggesting in any way who that is in my household.
Of course not.
Right. But some people out there might be experiencing a lot of pressure from the person that they're with to actually spend more than they have, like you said, for the holidays, etc. How do people deal with that?
I think for me, like I said, it's all in moderation. You got to start with your budget. You got to have a plan. I think a lot of us are just going through life without a plan, without a real idea of what we're doing and what we're going to spend on what. We're just doing it ad hoc, and then the numbers are not adding up, and that's how we're ending up going into our overdraft or credit card or having to take out loans and so forth. So for me, it's about planning. If you want to go on holiday, we budget that. We put that in the budget. We put everything into a budget, and then we can create pots. We can allocate stuff, and then when it's time to go on holiday, you know how much you've got in your pot. You know how much you've got to spend, and that's what you can use. I feel like we don't want to limit ourselves. We want to live this YOLO free life where we can do whatever we want, whatever we feel, at whatever time. But the problem is that you have an unlimited amount of spending, but you have a limited income. And so if you continue to spend unlimited with no limit, but yet you're limited on how much goes in, eventually you're going to end up in debt. And this is why a lot of people are in debt, even though some of them are on good incomes. Right.
So you speak about planning, and I spoke to an accountant a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying a similar thing. Now, what I find about life is you have, and I talk about education. Education is my thing, and this is why I've set up this platform, because people have different ways that they learn best. But rather than learning things the best way for them, they just follow the crowd. Everybody's reading this, but they read the book, but they're not taking action on what they learn. Now, you mentioned about planning. Some people do not plan. So my next question is based on how people can get out of bad habits. How do you unlearn those bad habits and develop good ones?
I think the first point is to come to realize that you have bad habits. I think a lot of us are walking through life not admitting that, actually I'm spending too much. And so you have to come to the place of realization that, you actually want change. And then I always tell people why. You have to find your why. If you really want to change something and you really want to do something, you have to explain to yourself and give yourself your why. And so the reason I say that your why is so important is that when you make a change, it's going to be very easy to go back to your old habits. You've been doing them for a number of years. So imagine you've been doing something for 20, 30 years, and now all of a sudden you want to make changes. So in order to really be focused and commit to your change, you have to remember your why. And your why has to be important enough for you to say, although I want to go back to the old way, my why is going to keep me focused on why I'm making this change and why I'm moving in this direction. Then once you got your why, then it's about, planning, it's about sacrifice, it's about delayed gratification, understanding that, okay, I'm going to not spend as much as I can now and put some of that money away in order for me to build for my future. And like I said, a lot of us have this YOLO culture where, you only live once, so you've got to spend everything now, enjoy everything now. And we're not planning for the future, but yet we get older each day. And so it's one of those things that we have to look beyond just today and tomorrow and really plan going forward. I'm really a passionate person that believes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And it's so important to have a plan and have a why, and then be intentional to achieve whatever you plan.
Right. Now, there's a few things, so many things in what you just said there. And we could spend time talking about each one of them, but I think, that you abbreviate it to YOLO, that YOLO lifestyle, you only live once. I think, recently, if we look at it from a broader perspective, we've had, 10 years of austerity measures? Yeah. Followed by, okay, we're leaving Europe, and actually now we're in an epidemic, right? So it's like everything's been squeezed. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that may be watching this or whatever time they're watching it that feel like they haven't lived. Like, they've not treated themselves. They've not done anything good. So when they do come into some kind of money, even if maybe they don't have it, maybe they can't afford it, they're wanting to treat themselves because it's such harsh conditions we're in. How would you help people to live that frugal lifestyle? Like you said, delayed gratification. How would you advise that when it's so tough?
Yeah, no, and I'm not saying don't live. I'm not saying don't enjoy some of your money, but it's a case of, okay, you want to go on holiday. Why do you want to go on holiday? You want a break. You want to enjoy yourself. You want to have time to yourself. Okay, cool. Does that mean that you have to do that in Miami, or you have to do that in Dubai, or you have to go around the world to Australia? So my thing is not necessarily, if I want to have a break and I want to have time and I want to get away, you can do that, but do that within your budget. Do that to your means. And sometimes we're doing stuff for the gram, or we're doing stuff because everybody else is doing that, and it's that whole FOMO, the fear of missing out, that's causing us to now act in a way beyond what we really need to. And so for me, it's about really coming to that point of understanding what I want to do. And yes, treat yourself. Yes, have enjoyments and so forth. But also remember your goals. Remember what you're trying to achieve, and find the balance between that.
Fantastic. I like that. So essentially what you're saying is kind of cut your coat according to your size, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So do you feel that there's a potential that people are kind of self-inflicting pressure on themselves, maybe through social media, maybe through how they're portraying themselves? They've created an image for themselves, maybe, that they have to live up to. So it has to be Miami because of things. Do you feel that that's a thing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I see it all the time with people who talk about the fact that, for example, the group of friends that they're with, they may not earn as much as the rest of their friends. And so when their friends say they go to Miami, to their friends it's affordable to them, but it's not affordable to the individual. But the peer pressure of not wanting to miss out and so forth is going to make you do beyond your means. Same thing in regards to whether it be going out, whether it be the clothes that you need to buy. A lot of the time we're doing stuff to fit in. Sometimes we're doing stuff because we feel people will look at us in a certain way. Sometimes we're doing stuff because we're in an environment where we want to try not to portray the typical image of what you think of me. So, for example, I know people who may be from the same place as me that are black, and so because of that, they don't want to be seen as being a poor black person. So they now feel that they now need to wear certain clothes or drive a certain car to show that they're not poor. But yet we know that you don't have assets. Your car is depreciating in value. It's not a good investment. But these are the ways that you can show wealth, and so because of that, you fall into consumerism to impress people or to live an image that just doesn't match you.
It's tough, isn't it? Very tough.
It's hard.
And I think this really kind of what we're talking about here is people knowing themselves, right?
Yes.
Just knowing who you are and just being comfortable with that, right?
Exactly. Because I always tell people, you are value. You are value. So if you understand that you are value, then you understand that it doesn't matter about the clothes that I put on. I add value to the things that I have because I am value. The car that I drive is valuable because it's mine. The clothes that I wear are valuable because I wear them, and so forth. And when you realize that you are value and you really put time in getting to know yourself and understanding how great you are and how amazing you are, and all the things that you've gone through and still carry on to achieve and build, and all the abilities that you have, then you understand that your greatness cannot be summed up by a car or by a house or by a holiday or by an item. And so when you really need to get to a place of understanding how great you are and loving yourself, and then everything else becomes meaningless.
I think that's a very powerful point, because with or without those things, you're still you. And I think sometimes there's such devastation when people can't buy the new pair of trainers, or when people can't buy that new upgrade to the car. They had the previous model before, they could afford it. And now it seems time to get a new car. They want to get the next one up because it seems like the natural next step, but actually they're no longer having the same income as before.
Yeah. But also the cost of living, everything is going up.
Yeah.
So even if you have the same income, we're going into a place where, look at going forward, they're gonna, the government have given out all this money, taxes are gonna go up. So we know taxes are going to go up. So it's going to cost more. That means that inflation, the cost of living is going to be more. So even if you're earning the same amount or even more, sometimes the cost of living is going up. So you just can't afford the same things as before. So you need to understand that, okay, I can't afford that anymore. That doesn't make me any less of a person. I'm not defined by the things that I own or the things that I have. And it's hard. It's easier said than done, but it takes time, and it takes effort, it takes energy, it takes determination, it takes focus for you to get there, if that's where you really want to be.
Excellent. I think it's not just, there are so many life lessons in this. There are so many. And I think what we're talking about in terms of habits, it kind of stems on just the foundation, right? So that foundation is built up through various different ways, either through what people have seen, people that they're hanging around with. Like you said, if you grow up with certain people and you see them all of a sudden they have a new car, you feel that pressure instinctively. I want to talk a little bit about just the passing on of knowledge. In that clip that I showed earlier, you were talking about cultural settings whereby people aren't necessarily passing on what they learn to the next generation. And I was talking about that with my wife earlier, and I thought, in terms of my childhood, I think she said the same about hers. Access to our parents was limited. So you have situations where there's so much information, and we spoke hypothetically. I said, what would you know right now if your parents gave you all the skills that they could pass on? And that was quite a powerful conversation, because my dad is super intelligent, the amount of information he would have given me. But how do you feel, because we know that communication between parents and children is directly limited by the amount that parents have to work. And the amount that parents have to work is directly related to how much they earn when they work. So you have communities, and not just BAME people, but you have communities where people aren't earning enough. They're working all hours. They could pass on vital information that will help the next generation. I feel that this is kind of like this cycle that keeps repeating. What are your thoughts around that? What do you think is a solution to that? You have come into financial advice. Your children now are going to have a different childhood to you.
They definitely
so, and that's great for you. But there are plenty of households where actually parents, even if they wanted to have that conversation, it's not the time or the energy. Do you understand what I mean?
No, I understand. And it's always difficult because you don't know, each individual situation is different. And so nobody should feel bad. You know what I mean? If you're providing for your children and for your family, but you don't have the time to spend with them, but because of the kind of work that you do, then you don't have to feel guilt or feel bad. But it's really important that we try and make time. And on those downtimes, and we try and make time, especially when it comes to financial literacy, financial education. Because again, a lot of people will tell me, they should teach it in school. And I totally agree, they should teach it in school. But we also need to remember that debt is £1 billion industry. And so if they teach us how to be better with our money and manage it, and we're all financially literate, we're not gonna be consumers of that. There's gonna be a whole industry that's gonna be making less money. And so it doesn't benefit them to teach us how to be better with our money. So we have to learn. We have to learn these skills, and we have to make it a thing to pass it down. Yeah, we're very good at passing down our culture and passing down, the things that we learn back home and so forth. We need to be just as firm and just as forward in putting down the financial literacy and exposing our children to financial education and money and business, and doing this from a young age so that they can set up their business as early as possible and learn how business works, even if it's on a small scale. I was talking to a friend the other day about setting up when we were playing football, bring your kid down, your kid sells water or lemonade or whatever at the end of when we finish football, and the guys will pay for that. And so again, now you're getting into business, you understand that there's processes. You have to go and do the work. You have to go and get the stock and then stand there, customer service. These things you're learning at a young age. Why won't you be able to have a business when you're 15, 16, 17, 20, and so forth if you start at age 10? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. I think it kind of, sometimes children will get that themselves.
Yeah.
They kind of feel the itch to do something enterprising.
Yeah.
I remember there's people watching, I'm sure there's people watching from Derby, my hometown Derby. I grew up in Derby, and I remember there was a shop called Icy Discounts, and you could get sweets. I used to get Treble mints, and I sold them on the playground for like 10p each. I think the box cost something like £2 or something. Yeah. And they were just Treble mints full inside it. And I didn't have the lessons to teach me about business. Yeah. But there was something inside me that thought, let me make some extra money.
And that's amazing. And that's amazing that you had the opportunity. But also sometimes, we need the exposure. Because I see in other communities, whether you have that natural itch or not, you're getting the exposure. You're getting pushed to go and do something, whether it's going to work experience. Some of us are working in great companies. We should be bringing not just our children, but bringing young people in so they can see the environment, to see whether this is somewhere that they want to work, and look at how can we create environments for the next generation. But a lot of us, I guess, we're so busy working hard on trying to get that promotion or get where we are, we haven't got the time to look back. But it's a must. We're such a small minority. We can't afford for the best of us to just go ahead and forget about those behind. We need to have a culture and a work ethic and a mindset of, okay, I've gone forward. Who can I bring with me? And then they will then bring someone else with them, and so forth. I really am a strong believer in that.
And it's so powerful when you see it in action. Yeah, because you can see kind of the young ones. I guess it starts off being dragged to work, right? But then after a while, actually, they know the skill, they know the trade, and they take it over.
Exactly.
It's very powerful, very powerful. I want to talk a little bit about business and spending habits in business, because quite naturally you have personal spending habits. We've spoken about those. We're all well aware of it, and it's always somebody else's, never us.
Exactly. No, always.
But when we start business, we're carrying these same attitudes towards money into business. So what are some of the issues that you see people run into when it comes to spending habits regarding their business, maybe that they've started up themselves?
I think the big ones are, you get your business, you just start, boom, you're spending money. You got the posh office. You got, you're getting a company car. You're bringing costs before you've even started to make money. It's really important that, you focus on making money, getting your product out there, getting your service out there, and build and pay yourself. Sometimes we're not even paying ourselves. We're just taking the money direct from the business account and transferring it to our personal account. You need to have a payroll set up to do that properly. And again, a lot of the time people say, they want to limit how much they say they're earning. But then, okay, you say you only earn 10K this year, so now you don't have to pay tax. Excellent. But now you want to go and buy a house, and you want to buy a house that's 400K. But how can you buy a house that's 400K if you only earn 10? And so sometimes we're hurting ourselves because we're not planning what we're trying to do. And so these are the conversations I have with business people. What are you trying to achieve? Yes, we don't want to pay tax. Everyone wants to pay as little tax as possible. But I need to understand that if I want to get the house that I want to get, or if I want to get the loans that I want to get, or I want to get the investment that I want to get, I need to show profit and I need to show more of it. And so I'm going to have to pay tax as a consequence. But I need to see the bigger picture.
Right. Okay. You said the T word. You said the T word. Now, that is a lot of people have probably just turned off the feed right now because tax is something that people do tend to run away from a lot. Yeah. And you described very well how, yes, we want to mitigate legally the taxes, but like you said, the bigger picture means actually when you're applying for a mortgage, they're going to ask you how much does your business bring in?
Exactly.
And actually, you're not able to show anything worth lending. So as a brilliant example, I want you to talk a little bit on something you said very quickly. And I think for finance people, it's so straightforward, it's simple. But you spoke about paying yourself from a business in comparison from taking money that the business has brought in. So we're talking about the revenue that's brought in through the company.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't really know how to properly pay themselves. Can you talk through how that works and why it's beneficial to do it the right way?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, the way you're meant to pay yourself is the same way like how you pay yourself when you have a salary, if you're employed. So you need to put yourself on a payroll and say each month how much you're going to take. Now, if you've got a good accountant, you'll speak to your accountant, and you don't have to take the same amount each month. Sometimes it's good if you take, the same amount. It's easier to account, but you might say, okay, this month I've done better, I'm going to take more. Just like if you're at work, some months you might get a bonus, so you get paid more. As long as it's accounted for, it's fine. If you know you've got further expenditure in that month, or you need extra money in that month, then take that out if you're taking it as personal. If it's a business expense, though, have a business card and pay it on your business card. If it's a business expense, have a business credit card and pay it on your business credit card. Too many times you are paying business stuff, but you're transferring it to your personal and paying it personal. Once you move from your business to your personal, you pay income tax as an individual and you pay corporation tax as a business. You have allowances for each of them. And so what you need to do, and obviously this is something you'd work out with your accountant, what you need to do is make sure you're understanding what you can claim through your business, because what you can claim through your business will reduce that can be taken off before you pay tax as a business, and what you can take as an income with your allowances as an individual. And so there's a fine balance between the two.
Excellent. I think this kind of leads into my next question regarding when people start up businesses, because my passion in starting EJWAY education and helping entrepreneurs, helping people to develop, is really birthed from kind of seeing a lot of people around me just over the years, not just people I know, people I don't know, but you hear of people saying that they're doing a business, they're running a business. But if you were to scrutinize that business, it's actually just a hobby. So they're making money. They're clearly making money. They've probably got a product. They're selling it. There's no business structure around it. So even what you've just said in terms of paying yourself, it can seem like a foreign language to some. So, it's about helping people get that right information. So if someone's in that position where they've started something, they know that it has legs, they're making money from it, but really they're living hand to mouth. What advice would you give to them in terms of where to start, how to structure it correctly so that they're doing things the right way?
I mean, I guess you have to think about the structure that you're going to use. So I guess if you're going to be a sole trader, if you're going to be a limited company, and understand the difference between the two, you also have to look at and the benefits of which one is better for you in your situation. I think also you have to think about how much you're going to pay yourself, how much is your business actually making. A lot of people will talk about how much they make, but they don't include their time. So they're working hard for their business and their business is making money, but they don't actually pay themselves. If you have a business and you don't pay yourself and you work for free, then you don't really have a business. Okay. And I need business owners to get this, because a lot of business owners won't get it. They're like, no, we made X amount turnover and did it, but you haven't paid yourself. And I always tell people it's easy to sell a product if you're selling it under its value. Okay, so if you know something's worth £10, it's easy to sell something that's worth £10 for 50p. All right, that's easy. If I know that's £10 and I can get it for 50p, you can sell that all day long. Okay, so you have to factor in how much time you're putting in. So you can't just say I'm paying myself £1,000 and these times you're working 100 hours a week, or there has to be balance. When you start thinking about minimum wage and the amount that you're taking, you're not really paying yourself for your time. It's not making sense. And so again, sometimes that means that your product is not priced right. Sometimes that means that you're not getting enough conversions, and sometimes that also means that your business can't afford to pay you, so you need to remain employed and do your business in the evening and on weekends until that picks up. So these are the type of conversations that business owners need to be having.
Excellent. So it's, I guess, that assessment, right?
Yes.
And being able to actually assess where you are in this journey. I think that's a good gauge. You said that people report that their business is earning X, Y, and Z, but actually they haven't paid themselves. I think that's quite a common thing, actually.
Yeah.
You find that's a common thing with the people that you deal with, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people you just don't pay yourself. It's just normal because you're working so hard for your business that you forget that actually you're an employee of that business. And your time has a value, and you need to pay for the time that you need to be paid for the time that you're given. But because it's your baby and it's your business, all you care is about its success and it's making profit. But it's only making profit because you're subsidizing it by not taking a salary.
It's very interesting. I think my next question kind of leads onto some of the difficulties that people have in making that transition. Especially when margins are very tight. Yes, people are making money, but like you said, they're just spending business money to live, etc. When people can't afford accountants, when people can't afford financial advisors, what advice do you give to people like that? And I think it's kind of, I'm anticipating, I kind of think I know what you're going to say, but I think in situations like this, there's the logical side and there's the emotional side of it.
Yeah.
And I think I want to kind of deal with both here, because we are people. I know today there's not many questions in the comments. Usually when it comes to these interviews, there are questions, but when it comes to money, we tend to be shy. We don't want to ask silly questions. We don't want to appear as if we don't know anything. But these are the types of things that happen.
Yeah,
people can't afford financial advice. They can't afford accountants. What would you say to people like that in terms of rectifying that situation and getting things in order?
I think that there comes a place where when you're at a certain level where you don't need an accountant or you don't need a financial advisor, depending on the amount that you're turning over, the amount of money that's coming in. There are things, there are the softwares that you can use. If you keep it like a sole trader, you and the business are the same and so forth, so you can keep your costs don't need to be as much, and you can if you're able to use the software, or if you're able to do basic accounts or look online and stuff like that, you can do that. And so again, because of that, you don't necessarily need it depending on where you're at. But I think also when you get to a certain level, when you start to make a certain amount, you do need a professional in there. I'd say again, an accountant for a business person is standard. You need that. Now, you might not need the most expensive accountant, but again, there might be things that you're just not going to know. And do you have the time? So again, if you're not going to take the advice of a professional, where are you getting your advice from? And if you're not getting advice, ask yourself, if I'm trying to run a business and the business people I know have accountants and financial advisors, lawyers, and so forth around them, if these people are the people I aspire to be, and they have these things in place, why would I not want to have these things in place? They're not doing it to waste money. They must see the importance. And sometimes we have to look at the level and the standard that we're trying to set. Okay, so if you're trying to elevate your business, and then especially like when businesses get to a certain place and you want to get investment, you might want to get investment into your company and so forth. Like your accounts need to make sense to get that investment. You need to have the right contracts in place and so forth. So it's really important to seek professionals for things that you don't know. Like even me, I'm a financial advisor, but I'm not an accountant. So I still have an accountant. Do you know what I mean? Even though I studied accounting and finance and I know the basis, I'm not an accountant. I'm not doing it every day. I'm not up to date with all the rules and the changes and everything that goes on. So it's important that I get a professional when I need them.
Wow, that's powerful. You know about the finances, but you still have the professionals in place. I think that's a very good point to end that segment on, because, yeah, I'd really do empathize. And when I talk about topics like this and when I ask these questions, I'm very careful not to try and come across as if I have it all down or I know everything. And I'm really trying to ask questions that I think will help people that are watching, because many people are in a fix at whichever level they're at.
Yeah.
And the next section of question I'm going to ask is about people who have those things in place but want to level up.
Yeah.
So wherever people are, they could be not really shaped properly in the business. We've spoken to that. We're helping them to actually get the right structure, build up. There are some people who've got a good business structure.
Yeah.
They've got money coming in, and they're at that place where they could expand. Then they're not necessarily, they're at this sticking point. What advice do you give to people that are in that type of position where they want to really level up in their business in terms of their finances and the growth?
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing is do the numbers. It's really important that you do your numbers. So you know, okay, if I want to level up, what areas do I need support in? So is it staff? Do I need to add more staff? And how much is that staff member going to cost me? And how many do I need? And what production can I get from them? And what does it allow me not to do that I can now go and do and generate? What's the income coming in? What's my cost? You really need to understand, because sometimes we can just assume that we need more staff, a bigger office, and everything will go fine. But actually, that's not what you need. You could have done that from having, a part-time mum working from home doing the same thing at a much cheaper cost, and you didn't need a bigger office and so forth. So it's about really understanding your costs, understanding how long is it going to take you to see back the investment in the cost that you want to take on, and how much do you need to level up, and how long is it going to take you to get that back and more, and see if that makes sense for you. Because like you said, sometimes you can be stuck in that place for a little while, and that's okay, because as you're building, you're getting there, but you're planning ahead, and when the time is right, you'll be able to take advantage of that.
Fantastic. So it really comes back to this planning structure. I remember you saying if the numbers are right.
Yeah.
I think that's a really important thing, because sometimes you can feel a wave of momentum in business, and you can feel, right, the time is now, let's grow. But actually, you haven't looked at the numbers. You haven't checked to see that it all works out and it's sustainable.
Exactly.
So what I want to ask now is in relation to when people face extenuating circumstances. Right now, for many business people out there, this is extenuating circumstances. A lot of people are reading their insurance terms for the first time, right? They're reading the fine print. They're checking to see what is entitled to them. What advice would you give to people who, before the lockdown, everything was fine, everything was good, they were in a good place, but since the lockdown, they've had to, businesses ceased. They've not been able to trade.
Yeah.
They've been waiting for the furlough schemes, the government help for self-employed people to come through. They've taken a hit. What advice would you give to people who, and I think I want to talk to those who have really found it hard emotionally.
Yeah.
So not just from the logical level, but you've taken a hit, you didn't see it coming, it's been tough on you, you're wondering whether to do your business or not. What are some practical tips to give to people that are in that situation, not just so that they can come out, but they can come out stronger and better?
I think one thing I would say, and one thing when I spoke to business people, and even me myself, is that although this time has been hard, it's been really good in regards to allowing us to stop and think about the next step. Because sometimes, especially as business people, we can be so focused on the hustle, on the grind, and go and go and go. But we haven't got time to really stop and assess: is what we're doing right? Is this really the right way? Is this really beneficial? Is this really the best route for me? And so I'd say try and see the good in the moment, even in the bad time, and also try and look at, is there a wave that you can ride that people are on now, or is there a way that your business can pivot? I mean, we've seen for the first time ever now team up with Amazon and sell their coffee beans, which they've never done in 33 years. Again, people are pivoting. Businesses are looking at, okay, this is a difficult time, this is hard, but how can I be wise in this time? How can my business best service my clients? And even then, what are there new areas that I can now go into that I wasn't thinking about or I didn't see before? So it's really about looking at what's around you, what are the opportunities, and also taking time to understand that if your business is failing at this moment, it's not because of anything that you've done. It's not because you were ill prepared, or no one was ready. No one was really ready. We're seeing huge corporations. If BA and Virgin and these big companies that are billion-pound businesses are struggling and making losses, then why are you a small sole trader or a one-man limited company not going to suffer as well? So we have to put things into context and take it as a learning lesson and look at what are the things that I can do, my business can do to get going in this new world that we're going into.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I think it's true when you put it into that context. There are companies that it's not even been publicized yet that they're struggling. Actually, they've gone into administration, but the press hasn't got hold of it yet, or there's limits there as to when it can get announced. But there are serious juggernauts that are struggling during this time. So I think that really does speak to the average person. What chance do we have during these times if people like Richard Branson are going to be struggling?
Looking for state aid.
Yeah.
You've got 2 islands and you're looking for state aid. So again, it's an unprecedented time. So it's not personal. It's not based on you or your mistakes. And just look at how you can move forward the best way for your business going forward.
Fantastic. I want to give a chance for people who are watching. If you're watching live, type your comments in the comment section. We'll see it here. If you have any questions for Emmanuel, he's on hand. He's happy to answer any questions that you may have. So feel free to do that. I wanted to talk finally regarding business. In watching one of those episodes of Save Well, Spend Better, Bianca Miller-Cole and the partner that she was working with, they had a case where there was a young lady who was overspending in terms of her business, her personal. It was all merged.
The flower shop.
Yes, the flower shop. And the advice that was given was shut down the business. Now, she took it very well. It was delivered well, and she received well. She's a very good person. I definitely commend her for going on TV with that type of issue, because it's very personal. But what she's done by doing that is she's given a lot of people a chance to learn from that example.
Definitely.
But the experts went away. They spoke about it. I'm sure you all talked about it. You heard what was going on. The advice was to close. So my question is, at what stage should people know now is the time to stop this business? This is just no longer working. I need to stop. I think that's a good, and just to add context, that the lady, number one, she's amazing. She was so brave. It was so important, so needed. She's actually in a much better position. I spoke to her not too long ago, a few months back, and since the show, she's been able to obviously close down her business. She's got a job paying her a good salary. She's moved back into her mum's. She's rented out her property that she's had, and she's managed to pay down almost 50% of her debt, and she should be debt free in the next 8 months. And so if you understood the situation she was in before, that's amazing. That really is amazing.
To be 6 months away is amazing. And so again, it's about, and this is what I talk about advice. If not, she probably could have carried on trying to sell, borrowed more money and so forth, and got into a deeper and deeper hole. I think sometimes, again, you have to have the professionals around you. Sometimes we're doing too much on our own. And if you've got a good accountant, you've got a good financial advisor around you, they will let you know. But take advice. Don't just, because you're the director or the owner of the company, don't just listen to your own voice. Listen to the people around you, and also do the numbers. Like, people, they always say people lie, numbers don't. Do you know what I mean? And it's one of those things where do the numbers. For her, the amount of money that she would need to try and get that business back up and running with the debt that it had, it just wasn't making sense. Times have changed. She had a huge cost in regards to her premises. In 2020, flowers just don't necessarily need such a huge cost and demand. And she was selling. It's not like she didn't have customers. She had customers, but her overheads were just so high. So I think it again, sometimes in business we need to understand that even if we have to stop, that's not the end. Do you know what I mean? Failure is only in that moment. You might stop, and it might look like, I've messed up, I've gone wrong, I can never do it again. But that's a learning lesson that you can use to move forward. When I look at, like we mentioned, Richard Branson, Alan Sugar, these type of entrepreneurs that have gone on to be billionaires, millionaires, billionaires, they've made mistakes, they've lost businesses, things haven't always gone right, but they didn't stop. They learned from it, they moved on. And so I think that's something that's really important to know and to do.
Fantastic. That's really good, because again, it's just bringing that context to it. Sometimes we kind of look at it from our own small little bubble.
Yeah.
We kind of consider ourselves a failure. We've tried, it didn't work. And we don't consider the fact that there are people who start and close businesses for fun.
Yeah.
Like, they start a business, they get their money, they get the business startup loan, whatever it is, start a business, they try it, it fails, they close it, they start another one, they try it, it does a bit better, fails, close it, they start another one. And then in the end, something works. And naturally, and I think herein is a very valuable lesson, we learn more from our failures than we do from our successes, right?
Always.
So it's not the end of the world if something has to close and it seems like a failure.
Sometimes your successes leads to your downfall, because you're doing so well that you continue to believe that everything you do is going to turn to gold. Every decision you make has to be right. You start to believe your own hype and get caught out. So again, sometimes it's the from our failure we learn the most important lessons, and experience is the best teacher. Like, you can read it in a book, but there's nothing like the experience of doing something. And some of the business people that I help are now mentors and business coaches and so forth, are people who have failed, people who have had like businesses and they've collapsed, but they've learned so much in that process that now they're able to stop other people making their mistakes. And so sometimes what can be your failure in that moment is what's going to lead you on to your next business and what actually going to bring money in and your next success.
Fantastic. I love this. This is just pure value. I did tell everybody that's watching, you are going to get pure value, and Emmanuel hasn't disappointed. We've got a question here from YouTube, I believe. Question from Jay. He's asking what our thoughts on digital currency. He said, "Gentlemen, there, I'm going to step back and let you answer this."
You know what a piece of this.
I might chuck in 2 pence later.
Okay, cool. I think I understand why people go into it. I know the buzz around it, and I do think it's something for the future. I think everyone has to be careful. But I also feel like it's not for everybody. I feel like, a lot of this stuff, do your research, get your knowledge up. I think people are putting some big money into this stuff, and they're struggling with PowerPoint, you know what I mean, and Word, and you now want to be investing in Bitcoin and all these other coins. I think you need to chill out and really, do your research, get your understanding. Some of these coins are not even in existence. You're putting money in coins that are not even in existence. The value are going up by confidence. They're not backed by anything. It's something that I think going forward and in the future will definitely be used more and more. And yes, money can be made through it. But I think you have to be careful and make sure you're definitely putting in what you can afford to lose, rather than putting in, big amount and only thinking about how much you can gain.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, It's interesting. So people put money into Bitcoin, but they don't know PowerPoint. That's probably the soundbite of this interview now. I'm going to put that on loop and stick it on my Instagram feed. Oh, goodness. But yeah, I think there is a lot to learn around digital currency. And I think, if I'm right, it's a deregulated market as well.
Yeah,
so there's regulations around it.
Yeah.
And for those people who don't know what that means, it means that it can be manipulated. So people can just all of a sudden talk to each other and put a huge influx of money into one currency to push the price up or to bring it down. So it's not as stable. Some of the bigger ones, I know people will talk about Bitcoin and some of the other ones, but I think the reality is, what is it? It's a currency that people they're creating these digital currencies so that it can be used as an alternative form of paying for goods and services.
Yeah.
So that is the basics.
Yeah.
In terms of the whole reason for it, I think it's come about because of the currencies that we have right now, the fiat money that exists right now, rates of inflation, the fact that values of currencies fluctuate so much. People wanted to have a system whereby they're taking back control of that. So that, as a basic point, we have to think about what is the viability of the coin. You know, how viable is that coin in terms of its end function use? So people want to be able to make transactions. Is that possible? Number one. Is it secure? If it's secure, how secure? You know, and the fact that there are so many altcoins, everybody's coming up with different algorithms to try and different iterations to improve on the security or the speed of transaction of the other one. Right now, there's the DAG coin that is a new one, which is, what is it? It's the acyclic graph. I've forgotten what the D stands for, but it's basically a different algorithm to the blockchain. So it's kind of like, I think it's either the chain without the block or the block without the chain, and it's speedy transactions and it's highly secure. So then if DAG chain is the way forward, then what happens to all the cryptocurrencies that are built on blockchain? So I think, like you said, there's a lot of learning that needs to take place around cryptocurrencies so people actually know not just what they're buying, but the longevity of that, the confidence in that.
Exactly.
Very, very, very interesting. But yes, you can, if anybody's watching, I have done teaching sessions. I do Forex one-on-one sessions, actually, helping people to understand the basics of what foreign exchange market is. We go into little things like that. And I've done some teaching sessions on cryptocurrency as well. But you might be able to check that out in the honing block. I can see some more comments here. I'm not sure if there are any questions. I think this is another comment from Jay here. So the key is to be willing to adapt and be flexible to change. You're right that it's important to talk and seek advice when forward planning. Good to keep the head out of the clouds and feet on the ground. I think that's true. I think that's probably agreeing to one of the previous points that was made. And thank you, Jay, and the others who are commenting live online. But Emmanuel, we're coming to the end. We're coming to the end. I'd like to thank you again so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Now, here's one thing. I've seen people interview you.
Yeah.
They don't pronounce your name correctly. First of all, can you please just state your heritage and then tell everybody how your name's supposed to be pronounced properly, please?
The name is from Nigeria. My parents are Nigerian, and the name is Emmanuel Asuquo or Asuquo. If you really want to Asuquo, but I'm happy with Asuquo because I think that's a bit easier for people. But yeah, if you want to go really into it, it's Asuquo.
There we go. There we go. Okay, so Emmanuel Asuquo. Emmanuel Asuquo.
Yeah, you done well. You done well. You done well.
So yeah, the thing is, I've spent probably most of my life correcting people on how to say my name, which is why I just go by OC. My first name has got 13 letters in it. 13. Yeah, so OC is fine. I just pick the first three. We'll just stick with that.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But listen, Emmanuel, hang on there. I'm going to come back to you personally a bit later. But for everybody watching, please, let's say thank you so much to Emmanuel. Just appreciate him for everything that he shared. And I'm hoping we'll have another session in the future as well, just to give us more nuggets, more advice. But I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Okay, so good people, you know what time it is now. It is competition time. And I've tried some crazy stuff this week. I've tried to kind of get the competition digital and stuff like that. So you may see it pop up in different places. But here we go. I'm going to just pop up this right here. You can see this. Look at that. Competition time. It is now time for you to be able to win, have a chance of winning a £20 Amazon gift voucher, as well as a free financial review that has a value, a usual value of £595, courtesy of AME Finance Academy. So what is the question? Well, I'm going to pose the question right now. So the question is this. In effect, there's a possibility there might be two winners this week. But here's the question. Which of the following is not a good way to raise funds to start a business? A, crowdfunding. B, startup loan. C, angel investment. Or D, national lottery. So which of the following is not a good way to raise funds to start a business? Is it A, crowdfunding, B, a startup loan, C, angel investment, or D, the national lottery? Okay, so here's what I'd like to do. I'd like you to, whichever way you're accessing this competition, you may see it on our website, you may see it from watching this video, type A, B, C, or D in the comments. A winner will be selected at random, and all you have to do is let us know your email address, and we will contact you directly, and we will give you your Amazon gift voucher and set you up for that financial review courtesy of AME Finance Academy. Good luck, and good luck. That's I don't know what I was going to say after "and," but yeah, definitely good luck. Okay, so that's the competition for this week. Guys, it has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed today's show. Next week is going to be such an awesome show, such an amazing show. We have Deb Helfridge with us next week, and we're going to be talking about unleashing potential. We're going to be talking about the kind of mindsets that we sometimes get stuck in. We have so much potential inside. We might feel shy. We might feel we're not able to do it. Next week, we're going to talk to Deb, and she's going to help us to grow our potential and unleash the tiger that is inside. Guys, it has been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I will see you, for those of you who are tuning in for our Forex 101 show on Thursday, that is at 3 p.m. If not, I will see you next week on Tuesday Night Live here in the Honing Block. Thank you so much. Take care and good night.